While the rest of the NBA world is spending every second of every day discussing where LeBron James is going to play next season, I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about the other 449 players in the NBA and the other 29 teams that won't get LeBron with my 5 hottest takes for the upcoming 2026-2027 NBA season. Listen, right now it's only July 16, so these are subject to change if there's any other major moves. But as we sit today, these are my 5 hottest takes for the upcoming season. Number 1, the Minnesota Timberwolves will not work with Lamelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. I know that this is a big team that's discussed in the whole LeBron James sweepstakes because a lot of people feel that this team will be more competitive than it actually is going to be. Right now, it only has Rudy Gobert as its big man. It lost Naz Reid, Julius Randle, and the guards on this team, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and Ayo Dosunmu, I don't think will work together well. Jaden McDaniels is a player we really like, and obviously Anthony Edwards is an incredible basketball player, but without legitimate big man depth, I don't think this team has any chance to be a real contender in the Western Conference. I could see them finishing as the 6th, 7th, or 8th seed in the West this upcoming season, especially with some of the injury concerns from LaMelo Ball. But once you enter the playoffs and Rudy Gobert is your big man, what is going to happen if you're playing against a team that plays Rudy Gobert off the floor? We've seen it happen in the playoffs time and time again where he has really struggled to guard, a 5-out offense where there's just a guy sitting in the corner who can hit open threes, and it's really made it difficult to have Rudy Gobert on the floor. But when that happens, what is the Minnesota Timberwolves backup plan? Now, obviously, there's more free agency that, left to happen. More guys are available, more trades potentially. But I really don't see the way that this Timberwolves team is currently constructed as any sort of threat in the Western Conference. Number 2, I am really high on the Utah Jazz this upcoming season. I believe they will be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. You're bringing in a ton of talent to this Utah team. Obviously, we know they sat a lot of guys last season because they weren't really intentionally trying to win games to their fullest, but you're bringing in Jaren Jackson Jr., all defense, one of the best defensive players in the NBA, an all-star level player in him. You're bringing him in for a full season. And last year at the end of the year when he was playing, they had to intentionally sit guys in the fourth quarter to lose games because they were playing so well. Keontae George had a really solid season last year, and I believe he'll take another step forward. You're bringing in another guard next to him and Darren Peterson, who is one of the most pure scorers we've ever seen out of college, and him playing next to Keontae will be massive. Lauri Markkanen, we know, is an all-star level player. He started in the all-star game when there was an injury a couple years ago, and this starting lineup, you add Ace Bailey, you add Isaiah Collier, Yusuf Nurkic, Bryce Sensabaugh, Kyle Filipowski. I think the Utah Jazz have great depth. They added Mo Bamba for whatever that's worth. But I think the Utah Jazz have great depth and will win a ton of games in the regular season, making a huge step forward. And Will Hardy is a coach that I wholeheartedly believe in. So number 2 is the Utah Jazz will make the playoffs this season and take a huge step forward, which would be a huge improvement considering they just picked 2nd in this most recent NBA draft. Number 3, the Los Angeles Lakers will be a play-in team. I am not high on the way that they've built this team at all. You're talking about Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Mamu, Quentin Grimes, Walker Kessler, coming off the bench, Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt, Colin Sexton. I am not a fan at all of this Los Angeles Lakers team. It is lacking greatly on the defensive end of the court. Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Colin Sexton, Mamu, none of those guys are great defenders. Jared Vanderbilt couldn't really see the floor of the last couple seasons for the Lakers, and now you feel like he's going to have to play some sort of role. You're losing Marcus Smart, you're losing LeBron James, you're losing Rui Hachimura, who are guys who are versatile. Marcus Smart was really important for them last year with his perimeter defense, and I think the Lakers are really going to struggle this upcoming season to compete, especially because guys like Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves have kind of been dealing with some soft tissue injuries. Walker Kessler only played 5 games last season. And Luka, while I think that Nico Harrison made a huge mistake in the package he got back trading Luka Doncic, I don't believe Luka Doncic is going to be a player that's going to age really well. So is this a sign of things to come with these lingering injuries and these soft tissue problems? We'll see this upcoming year, but all in all, not a big believer in this Lakers team in the current Western Conference. I think they'll finish somewhere in that play-in tournament range. Number 4, the Detroit Pistons are going to take a huge step back. The Eastern Conference has added a ton of talent over the last few years. Even the worst team in the East last year, the Washington Wizards, are adding Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and AJ DeBonsa. You'll see a huge step forward from the Washington Wizards, and a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference are going to be along those same lines. The Detroit Pistons, I have not liked this offseason. They added John Collins. They're playing some sort of game with Jalen Duren, not signing him to a new contract. He's still a restricted free agent. I just don't like the vibes out of Detroit with the way that their season ended last year. Kind of disappointingly against the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 2. I don't love what the Detroit's doing. Obviously, they got Cade Cunningham, who's one of the best players in the NBA. Asar Thompson is a great defender. Duncan Robinson, a little up and down, but he's a great shooter. John Collins, Paul Reed. They added Isaiah Joe. They have Ron Holland. But Jalen Duren was very important to them last season. Obviously, he struggled in the playoffs, but in the regular season, he was an all-NBA level player, one of the best centers in basketball. They're messing with him too much. And messing with the man just throws off the vibes, and it'll be very interesting to see how Detroit comes back. I'm not necessarily thinking they're going to miss the playoffs, but going from the 1 seed, I could see them for sure falling to 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference again, as this is becoming a conference that has a ton of talent. You look at teams like, obviously the Knicks are going to be really good again. The 76ers should take a huge step forward, replacing Paul George with Jaylen Brown. Another year for Edgecombe and Maxey. You feel good about them. Orlando played really well in the playoffs. Cleveland could potentially get LeBron. The Miami Heat added Giannis Antetokounmpo. Charlotte, could they take another step forward? I don't think losing Lamelo Ball is a huge deal in my opinion, because I think they have other players, and getting out of the Lamelo Ball business was smart. And number 5, the Miami Heat will not be serious contenders in the Eastern Conference. Now, I got a ton of pushback when I talked about the Heat when they made the trade for Giannis and some of the moves that they had to make, and Heat fans were telling me Norman Powell's going to be able to be a playmaker for him. Well, he left and went to Chicago. The Miami Heat are going to make moves. They haven't made any moves. Their roster is very lacking. It has very little shooting, very little ball handling ability, and very little playmaking ability, creating shots for your teammates. Obviously, they added Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have Bam Adebayo. Davion Mitchell's an okay backup level guard in the NBA. Tim Hardaway Jr., Bobby Portis, Pele Larson, Drew Smith. I'm just not very high on the Miami Heat for this upcoming season, and I think it's going to be a real problem. I would love to hear your hottest takes for this upcoming NBA season. There's a lot that's happened, a lot of moves, and let's hear it. Let's hear the craziest, most wild thing. Now, obviously, there's more signings to be had. Peyton Watson is still a free agent, a really good player. LeBron James, a free agent. Jalen Duren. All those guys could move around, and we could see some changes to this list that I just made. Teams I could get higher on or lower on, depending on what happens. But we will have to wait and see. But let me know what you think. If you love the NBA, make sure you take a second to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.